The passage we've just heard from the Gospel of St. Luke, it's very well known. It's Jesus who comes into the house of a woman whose name is Martha. And Martha gets to work and starts serving the Lord, being very hospitable to him. And the sister of this woman, Martha, Mary, instead just sits at the feet of Jesus and starts listening to Jesus teach. And yes, Martha is burdened with all this serving, and so she goes and kind of complains a little bit to Jesus, kind of telling him, hey, can you ask my sister to come help me? And then that very famous and mysterious reply from Jesus, Martha, Martha, you are anxious and worried about many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken away from her. What is it that Jesus means with this mysterious answer? What is he trying to tell Martha, and what is he trying to tell us? Let's look at these two people, Martha and Mary, right? So Mary is sitting at the feet of Jesus. Now this expression kind of has two connotations. On the one hand, it probably means that she literally was just sitting at the feet of Jesus. But this expression has another connotation, which in Jewish context, it described the relationship between a disciple and a teacher, right? St. Paul, later, like in a different, I think it's the Acts of the Apostles, St. Paul is describing how he grew up, and he says, I grew up at the feet of Gamaliel. Gamaliel was a very well-known rabbi. So he doesn't really mean that he was like growing up literally at the actual stinky feet of somebody, right? He was saying, I grew up being taught by Gamaliel. I was his student. I grew up at the feet of this great rabbi, Gamaliel. And so when we hear about this description, Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus is not only literally that she's at the feet of Jesus, but she is in the posture of a disciple. She is in relationship with Jesus. She is listening to him, learning from him, desiring to imitate him, loving him right there, right? So this is kind of the posture of Mary in this scene that is described by Luke. Now Martha, on the other hand, she is serving, which is a good thing, but there's other adjectives that describe what Martha is doing. She says, the gospel says first that Martha was burdened. She was burdened with much serving. The word here in the Greek for burdened literally means she was pulled away. She was pulled away from much serving. Also could be like distracted, right? Being pulled away from something means you're being distracted from the thing. She's being very distracted, pulled away by the serving. And she's also anxious and worried. Anxious and worried. So when Jesus gives his reply to her, Martha, Martha, you are anxious and worried about many things, Jesus is not rebuking Martha for serving. Serving is a good thing. I mean, if you read the Gospels, Jesus asks us to serve over and over again, so he can't be telling her, hey, why are you serving? This is not what's going on. And also, he's not necessarily telling her, hey, you should never be stressed. Stress is a normal thing, and in fact, Jesus kind of experiences some stress and anxiety when he's at the Garden of Gethsemane, right? He's sweating blood of how stressed and anxious he is. So he's also not rebuking her for just being a little bit worried. It just seems that she is allowing her worries, her desire to serve, her focus on hospitality, she is getting so carried away by this service thing that she's pulled away from the one thing that actually really matters, right? Jesus is saying, you're anxious and worried about many things, but there is need of only one thing. Kind of saying, if you should be worried about something, it should be about something else, one thing. And what is the one thing she should be worried about? The one that Mary is doing. Being in relationship with Jesus. Being focused on him. Not losing the fixed gaze on Jesus. Right? This is the one thing that matters. Relationship with Jesus. Being in discipleship with him. Maybe an analogy that could help us understand what's going on here would be imagine a parent, who has different children, and he wants to provide for his or her children, right? Good thing, great thing. So he starts working to provide for the children, which is a great thing to do. But then he starts just getting so focused on providing for them that he starts just working and working, or she starts working and working, and she forgets her children or his children. That'd be odd, right? Like the whole purpose why you began to serve is for the children, for your relationship with them, to provide for them and be with them. But then you get so carried away by working for the sake of providing that you actually forget the purpose of why you were doing it in the first place, which is relationship with your children. That would be weird. You labored in vain, right? You were able to provide, but you didn't really provide, right? Something similar is happening to Martha, where she's doing a good thing, she's serving, but she's getting so caught up in the providing and the serving that she's being pulled away, right? Burdened. She's being distracted from the one thing that actually really matters: relationship with the Lord. This is a temptation all of us have to struggle with. As priests, actually, this is a huge temptation. We get told this over and over again when we're being formed as priests. You're going to get so busy serving. There's so many things to do at every parish, like endless work, that you're going to be tempted to forget about your relationship with the Lord, to say, there's just no time to pray. There's just so many things to do. And if we fall into that temptation, we've missed the whole point of Christianity, which is being in a relationship with the Lord. There's only one tragedy in this world, which is not to be a saint, not to be eternally with the Lord in heaven, and that starts here, relationship with the Lord here. We could say there's only one tragedy in this world, not to be in a deep friendship with Jesus. That other passage of, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world if he loses himself? You kind of edit it and apply it to this. What does it profit a man or a woman to gain the whole world, to serve all these people, if he loses his friendship, his relationship with the Lord? It profits him or her for nothing. So practically speaking, what does this mean? What does this mean for us? What do we do? So this means we have to have a life of prayer. We have to have a life of prayer. We have to spend time with the one who loves us, with Jesus, and the one we love, with Jesus. We all know that time and relationship are like super related. You don't spend time with somebody, that relationship kind of starts winning down. Imagine a husband and a wife who, for endless weeks, they don't really spend any time with each other, not even like 10 minutes a day. I mean, that's gonna affect the relationship between the husband and the wife. It's just going to happen because time is needed for relationship. And so it's the same thing with God, the same thing with Jesus. We need to spend time with Him if we hope to be in our relationship with Him and don't miss out on the one thing that is necessary and the better part of this life. Now, how much time you should pray? Obviously, this is going to look different for every person, but I'm just going to give you the bare minimum that I think every person should be doing. Bare minimum, you should be starting your day with a short prayer, right? Even if it's just getting up, looking at the cross, and making the sign of the cross. Takes 2 seconds, right? Just start our day like that. Finish our day like that too, even if it's just 3 seconds making the sign of the cross. Maybe we could spend a minute and maybe say like 3 Hail Marys or something like that. But we should start our day with a quick short prayer. We should end our day with a quick short prayer. And then we should find a time in our day where we could spend about 10 minutes just spending quality time with the Lord. Spending time praying 10 minutes. Every day, being faithful to those 10 minutes. I was trying to do the math before math started, and I think I got it right. So 10 minutes of your day is less than 1% of your day. I think it's like 0.7% of your day. So if you're giving God 0.7% of your day, that's what I'm saying is the bare minimum. And if we think that's too much, I don't know what we're thinking. Right? Just open up your phone and go to that app that tells you how much time you spend in each app. You know what I'm talking about? And just look at the stats there and see if really this 10 minutes, it's too much. Maybe there may be a one case scenario or a few days sometimes where this is actually really impossible. For the most part, it's a matter of priorities, right? Of giving the time to the Lord. As I think I've said before, if we're too busy to pray, we're too busy, right? And so I encourage you to just think about this. Do you have a friendship with Jesus? Is that the one thing you're most worried about? Or are there other things you're more worried about, right? It's not bad to be worried in itself, but are we most worried, are we most stressed about our friendship with Jesus? Or is it other things that are stressing us out more than that? May you be able to dive into your friendship with the Lord as you dive into your life of prayer.